Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing another little project. If you're following along, we've been working on this cedar shake for the Gables project, but because we don't have a shop to work in, space is pretty limited here. So we're going to be doing a little project today to help increase our production. And what we're going to be doing is building a drying rack. So if you've been following today, we've been staining these shakes set up on 2x4s on the ground. Takes a lot of square footage up. Wife's getting a little angry about tripping over things, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our boards that we've been using here for laying the shingles out to dry. We're going to build a bit of an A-frame and a bit of a drying rack, and then hopefully we can increase production. We'll set up a table to work off of instead of doing this on the ground. It should make it much easier, but this has taken a long time. Well, maybe only, I think maybe we've only been getting about a bundle of shakes a week stained in between working and the kids and all the rest of it. So we got to figure out something to increase the amount of production. But let's take a look at what we got done so far. So here is the shakes. I just got them laid out in the tarp on the grass. Now they are dry, but I'm letting them cure. Like most stains and paints, takes a little bit of time for them to totally harden right up, and then we'll stack these, get them out of the way until we're ready to install them. But so far they've turned out pretty good, I think. Just get a bit of a better look. If you look down, they're pretty, the color's called teak, so they're like a reddish brown. See what they look like up on the gable, but I think it should be okay. Originally I was thinking I was going to do a burnt amber, but this color seemed to be what we were looking for. And then I got a pile more because of the lack of space. I've just got them laying up here. I'm going to stack these flat though. It hailed here the other day, so I just wanted to get them under the roof, but we've got quite a few done. Maybe do another bundle and we'll be ready to go and start installing the first gable here. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to put our vertical braces in here about a third in from each end, and then that'll give us enough stability to have it go up. We'll put a cross brace across the back, and it's just going to be a temporary thing. We just don't want it falling over in the meantime. Alright, so far I've got the two vertical kind of braces set up. The back one is going to have this cross vertical brace here just so it doesn't twist over sideways. I just need to put the side braces in to keep it roughly 12 to 18 inches apart, and then I'll start putting on the actual shelves. As you can see, I'm just putting in one screw to hold this together. This isn't really meant to be built as something permanent. It's just to pin things in place and hold it there. This rack isn't going to hold very much weight, and at the end of it we're going to pull it all apart. So one screw I think is good enough for this. It's not going to be up for that long either, but yeah, so if we were going to build this more substantial, I'd be measuring things and making it fairly precise and putting in a couple screws, but for this temporary solution we're just going to pin it, make sure it's got well cross braced, and then we'll pull it down later. The other thing I was going to mention as well is I always keep a good supply of these kind of junk 2x4s around just to use for dunnage, little projects like this. I usually go and just buy them from Home Depot. I find the straightest ones I can find, obviously, and when I'm done with them I stack them, and it seems to keep them fairly good, keeps them from warping, but they're perfect for doing stuff like this when you need to build some temporary shelving or bracing, or in this case a drying rack, but definitely well worth having a few of them around. Okay, so I got the first board on. Now I didn't, as you can tell, I never used a level, but I did do some measurements to make sure it was somewhat square. So now what I'm doing since I got the first one pinned on here, just put the second board on, made a mark in the center of that board roughly where the center of the stud should be, and then I'll just keep going up on my marks from there. Okay, I've got the the back side of the rack kind of screwed together here now. Now once again I just did put one screw in there to pin it. I just wanted to show you, I miscalculated the amount of material I needed by one row, so probably later I'll go and get another piece of strapping here and just put that last row up near the top. Now one thing I wanted to point out here is at the bottom I did put these two rows slightly together and shorter, and this first row not that far off the bottom compared to the ones up above. And the reason why is I just wanted more shakes to be put at that lower level, so the bottom would be a higher weight than what we're going to get when we get to the top. But other than that, pretty straightforward. Actually, if you've been watching this video, you've probably been thinking you never use a level for anything and you only put a few measurements in there, but it's actually just the way we did it. Straight enough and level enough for purposes we're using. Once again, we're going to have to tear this all down. If I was going to build this permanently, I'd do it much different. Other thing I was going to point out too, so the main vertical frame is 2x4s, but for the strapping here I've just used a 1x2. And the reason why is number one, it's much cheaper, and number two is I'm just using this to dry cedar shakes after I've stained them, so it doesn't have to hold very much weight. It's probably most practical purpose for it. I could have used 2x4s. I just ran out of material though and had to buy some, so I just bought the cheapest strapping I could find that I thought would work. But that's the back side of our rack so far. Now I'll do the same and finish the strapping on the front. Okay, I've got both front and back pieces of the rack here built now. You can see there's two sections. Now we got to get the spacing in, so what I've done is I cut a bunch of 2x4s right there, it's my pile, into 12-inch pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw them on underneath this part so it doesn't interfere with the shakes laying on top. 12 inches, the shakes are roughly 18 inches, so they'll overhang on either side. So basically the shakes will just sit on here, overhang on either end, and it should be good. So let's get screwing those on. Okay, I just want to give you guys a view of the final product here. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it'll serve our purposes, and we're going to pull it all apart once we're done with the staining of all these shakes. But let's take a look at this thing. Okay, so here we go. There's the whole rack. Like I said, we could add another row up top there. I miscalculated the material. I put some of our previously stained shakes on there already. From the best I can tell, it'll take about 3/4 of one bundle of shakes if I tighten up the spacing and whatnot. And if I add in that top row, probably the full bundle. Now, just for stability, it's actually pretty good. I thought it would be a lot more wobbly than it was. I was going to put some front braces on it, but I don't think I'm going to have to actually. Future improvements, if I was going to do this for a permanent solution, what I would do is I would notch in the vertical posts and recess the cross members. I'd probably put a double brace across the back, and for sure on the bottom I would make the footer much larger, and I'd probably make it where you could put either some sandbags or just make it out of really heavy timber so the bottom would be really heavily weighted. But for this temporary solution, I think this will work pretty well. Yeah, one of the other things I was just going to point out, we put the side cross braces just underneath these pieces there, and that way it doesn't take any real estate up when we're trying to lay the shakes out for drying. I left the blue tarp under here so when it is drying, if anything does drip, that shouldn't, but if it does, it won't stain our concrete. The biggest problem we have living in town, I guess, really is there's no space to do anything. I think a lot of people have that problem, so this will be a temporary solution until we can get these shakes all stained and stapled up. But in the meantime, I think it'll serve our purposes, and it's actually not too bad of a little project here. Okay, the one other thing I was going to mention for dimensions, the base is a full 2x4, so it's 8 feet wide. I put the top rack at about 6 feet, so it's about 6 feet high, and the spacing is approximately 12 inches between the rows, with the bottom spacing being a little tighter just because I wanted a little more weight on the bottom. But overall cost on this project was about $46 of material and change. Way more expensive than what you'd ever think, but all this dimensional lumber's getting really expensive these days, plus a box of screws. So anyways, we'll see you guys on the next video.